All right, diving right in. Today we're tackling something a lot of you have been asking about. The physical signs of spiritual awakening. You know, not just the thoughts and feelings, but like things happening in your body.
It's interesting, right? Like we think of spiritual growth as this internal thing.
Yeah.
But this article, Physical Signs of Spiritual Awakening You Need to Know, is suggesting our bodies are kind of giving us clues.
Yeah, like little hints, right? And the article claims these aren't just random things, but like evidence of your soul evolving.
Like a soul upgrade or something.
I like that. So let's get into it. First one that caught my eye was temperature changes. Like ever get random chills or suddenly feel hot for no reason.
Yeah.
The article's connecting this to Kundalini energy, which sounds intense.
Yeah, it can be. It's this concept from yoga, like a potent energy that's usually asleep at the base of your spine.
Okay.
And as you progress spiritually, it can rise up, causing these heat sensations, like energy moving through you.
Whoa.
Yeah, powerful stuff.
And what about chills? I get those sometimes too, like when I'm meditating.
Oh, interesting. The article suggests that could be your body aligning with higher frequencies, subtle energies we're usually not aware of.
So it's not just being cold.
Right, exactly.
Like, have you ever walked into a room and just felt the energy change, even though nothing's visibly different?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like, you can sense something, but it's invisible.
That's a great example, like perceiving these energy shifts. Which kind of leads to the next sign, heightened senses.
Right, okay.
The article says during a spiritual awakening, your senses get more acute colors, brighter, sounds more vivid, even smell becomes more intense.
So it's not just being sensitive to, like, loud noises or strong smells.
It's about the subtleties, the nuances you usually miss. Like imagine feeling the texture of a leaf and it evokes this deep connection to nature.
Wow, yeah.
Right, picking up on those tiny details.
Speaking of feeling things, the article also talks about tingling sensations, specifically at the crown chakra, top of your head and third eye between your eyebrows.
Right.
I've felt that during meditation, but never thought much of it.
A lot of people report that. Those areas in many traditions are seen as energy centers, chakras, linked to higher consciousness. Crown chakra is about connecting to the universal divine.
Right.
And the third eye is like intuition, insight beyond the physical world.
Interesting. So those tingles could be those energy centers opening up or becoming more active.
It's a possibility. As you awaken, you become more receptive to that energy flow.
Okay, that's cool. This next one's less pleasant. Sleep disruptions. The article specifically mentions waking up between 2 and 4 a.m. They call it the spiritual hour.
Interesting term, right?
Yeah.
A lot of traditions consider this time to have heightened spiritual energy. Like the veil between physical and spiritual is thin.
Oh, okay.
So instead of tossing and turning, you're wide awake, full of energy, maybe new ideas popping up.
So instead of dreading it, we should embrace those middle of the night wakings.
Exactly. Tap into that different state of consciousness. Maybe journal, meditate, just sit quietly with your thoughts.
That's a good idea. Now, the article also talks about unexplained aches and pains, like in your neck, shoulders, back. I feel like I always have tension there.
Yeah, many people do. But it's interesting to think it could be more than just physical.
Okay.
The article suggests it could be releasing energetic blockages. Like your body's a vessel, and as you grow spiritually, you got to make space for new energy to flow.
So, like, how do we know if it's purely physical pain or if it's this energy shift thing?
Always good to see a doctor, rule out anything medical.
Right, of course.
But if you're checked out and it's all clear, then maybe explore the connection to spiritual growth. Pay attention to when it happens, what you were doing beforehand. See if there's a pattern.
Makes sense, like being a detective with your own body.
Exactly.
This next one I found really interesting. Skin changes. The article's saying our skin, as our largest organ, reflects our inner state. As we align with our higher self, our skin might get this radiant glow. But it also mentions temporary blemishes, like the body detoxifying. So wait, how do we know if it's a spiritual sign or something we should see a doctor about? Some skin stuff needs medical attention.
Yeah. Always better to be safe and get checked out if you're concerned.
Right.
But the point is, even physical stuff can be tied to deeper energy. It's about the timing, context. Does it match up with other shifts you're going through?
Like looking at the whole picture.
Exactly, the holistic view.
Okay, makes sense. Next up, they talk about energy fluctuations. Going from super high energy and clarity to feeling totally drained. They compare it to a computer downloading updates.
Haha, I love that analogy.
Me too.
It's like you gotta honor both the highs and the lows. When you're in that high energy phase, you feel like you can do anything, but then you gotta rest and recharge when you need to.
It's like integrating those updates, letting them settle in.
Exactly. Balance between pushing yourself and honoring your need for rest.
The article then goes into ringing in the ears.
Oh, yeah.
I've had that, especially when it's quiet or I'm meditating. Always thought it was just a medical thing, but the article suggests it could be something more.
Interesting.
Yeah, they say it could be tuning into higher frequencies, like vibrations beyond the physical world.
Like your auditory range expanding.
So, not just hearing louder sounds, but different types of sounds. Maybe even sounds from other dimensions.
Now that's a fascinating thought.
Right. It's kind of like, what other sensory experiences are we missing out on? And speaking of senses, the article talks about emotional sensitivity too. Like suddenly feeling these waves of emotion from sadness to joy, seemingly out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's common for people on this path.
Really?
As you shed old patterns and beliefs, you might experience a wider range of emotions more intensely.
Whoa. Wouldn't that be overwhelming though?
It can be, but it's important to remember those emotions are natural, not something to fear or suppress.
So just let yourself feel them.
Yeah, like waves flowing through you. The article encourages that.
So not resisting, just experiencing them.
Exactly. It's building emotional resilience, riding those waves without getting swept away.
Okay, and speaking of processing emotions, the article talks about vivid dreams.
Ah, dreams.
They're saying those could be symbolic messages from your subconscious, helping you integrate all these shifts. They even suggest keeping a dream journal to decode them.
That's a great practice. Dreams are powerful tools for self-discovery. Paying attention to the symbols, themes, emotions, you can get real insights into your waking life.
Some of my dreams definitely feel symbolic, like they're trying to tell me something. Okay, moving on. The article mentions increased empathy as another sign. It describes it as feeling deeply attuned to others' emotions, like sensing their unspoken thoughts and feelings.
Feeling what they're feeling.
Yeah, I've noticed that in myself, being more sensitive to the energy of people around me.
That's often linked to the heart chakra opening, allowing for deeper connection on a soul level.
But wouldn't that also make you more vulnerable to absorbing other people's negative energy? How do you protect yourself from that?
That's a valid point. A common challenge for empaths. The key is healthy boundaries and learning techniques for grounding and shielding your energy.
Okay, so not shutting down empathy, but learning to manage it.
Right. Balance between compassion and self-preservation.
And speaking of shifting things, the article talks about a changing relationship with time.
Oh.
Time feeling faster or slower, and experiencing more synchronicities.
Those two perfect coincidences?
Like the universe is sending you a message.
Those can be seen as affirmations guiding you toward your purpose. Have you noticed any lately?
Oh yeah, totally. It's like the more you pay attention, the more you see those little winks from the universe.
It's a good reminder that we're all connected, part of something bigger.
Absolutely. And speaking of connections, they mention changes in food preferences.
Oh, interesting.
They say you might lose your taste for dense, heavy foods and crave lighter, healthier options.
Makes sense. As you raise your vibration, you might crave foods that support that.
It's like your body intuitively aligning with your spiritual growth.
Exactly. Speaking of aligning, they highlight a deep connection to nature as another sign.
Right, like feeling drawn to the ocean, forests, mountains.
As we awaken, that pull towards nature gets stronger.
It's like we're seeking that grounding, that peace and connection.
Nature reminds us we're part of something bigger, helps us reconnect with those natural rhythms.
And speaking of seeking things out, the article talks about a sudden interest in spiritual practices too.
Like what?
Like meditation, yoga, energy healing.
Yeah. As we become more aware of our spiritual side, we naturally look for ways to explore it.
So, like, those things might start to appeal to you, even if they didn't before.
Right. It's like your inner compass guiding you toward what resonates.
But there are so many practices out there. How do you know where to start?
That's where trusting your intuition comes in. Pay attention to what sparks your curiosity, what feels aligned with your values. Maybe you're drawn to a specific type of meditation or a particular teacher. Explore and see what resonates.
So it's not about finding the right practice, but the one that works for you.
Exactly. And it's not about achieving something external, but about connecting with your inner world.
This has been so insightful already. It's like all these seemingly random physical experiences could be part of a bigger picture.
The body holds so much wisdom.
And it's constantly giving us clues if we just learn to listen.
Exactly.
So if you're experiencing any of these signs, don't dismiss them. They could be signs of a huge transformation.
Embrace the journey.
And maybe keep a journal. You might be surprised by the patterns you see.
That's a great idea. Journaling helps us make sense of everything.
Wow, this deep dive is giving me a whole new perspective on those everyday aches, pains, and weird sensations.
It's about shifting your view, seeing things through a new lens.
Instead of problems, they become opportunities.
Precisely.
And hey, you're not alone in this.
Lots of people are going through these same shifts, awakening to their true nature.
So to our listener, embrace your journey. Be curious and open-hearted.
Pay attention to those subtle signs, trust your intuition, and you're not alone on this path.
Yeah, it's not always easy or straightforward, this path to spiritual awakening.
Right.
There will be times you feel amazing and times you're exhausted, moments of clarity and moments where it's all confusing.
Like that computer analogy again. Sometimes gotta shut down and restart to get those updates working, right?
Exactly. And that brings us back to self-care. Eating good food, getting enough sleep, moving your body in ways that feel good, spending time in nature.
Right.
All that helps you stay balanced so you can handle those energy shifts.
It is interesting how the article kept coming back to nature.
Yeah.
I know so many people who feel their best when they're like in the woods or by the ocean.
Nature has this way of reminding us we're part of something so much bigger.
Yeah.
It helps us get back in sync with the rhythms of the earth, you know? Find that peace and stillness. It's like our busy lives kind of disconnect us from that.
For sure.
So intentionally going out into nature can really help.
Absolutely. Speaking of seeking things out, the article mentions a growing interest in spiritual practices too.
Oh, yeah.
As a sign of awakening.
So things like meditation, yoga, energy healing might suddenly seem appealing.
Exactly. It's like your inner guidance system is leading you towards what your soul needs.
But there's so much out there.
I know, right?
How do you even know where to begin?
That's where listening to your gut feeling comes in. What excites you? What feels right? Maybe you're drawn to a certain type of meditation or a specific teacher.
Okay.
Try different things, see what clicks.
So it's less about finding the right practice and more about finding what works for you.
Exactly. And it's not about some end goal. It's about going deeper within yourself, connecting with your true nature.
Man, this deep dive has been eye-opening. It's like all these seemingly random things happening in our bodies could actually be connected.
The body's full of wisdom.
Yeah, and it's always sending us signals.
We just got to pay attention.
So, to everyone listening, if you're experiencing any of this, don't brush it off. It could be a sign of something amazing unfolding.
Exactly.
Maybe start a journal.
Yeah.
You might notice some interesting patterns.
It can help make sense of everything.
I'm already looking at those everyday aches and pains differently now.
That's great. It's about shifting your perspective.
Seeing those things as opportunities instead of problems.
Yes. And remember, you're not alone in this.
There are so many people going through these same shifts.
Awakening to who they really are.
So to our listener, embrace your journey. Be curious. Be open-hearted.
Listen to those subtle signs. Trust yourself, and you've got this.
You know, thinking about all these signs, it's not just each one on its own, it's how they all fit together.
Yeah, like a bigger picture.
Exactly. In the article, it was clear these physical things aren't just random, they're part of this whole energetic and spiritual shift.
Right, it's all connected.
Like puzzle pieces. You start putting them together and you see this whole image of awakening emerge.
I like that.
For example, those temperature changes we talked about could be linked to that Kundalini energy thing.
Yeah.
Which then maybe leads to heightened senses, stronger connection to nature. It's like a domino effect.
One thing leading to the next.
And those vivid dreams, maybe that's our subconscious mind trying to process it all, make sense of this transformation.
Makes sense. Our inner world reflecting those changes.
And as we get more sensitive to our own energy, it makes sense we'd feel other people's energy more too.
It's true. It's like spiritual awakening isn't just about you. It's about expanding your capacity for love and compassion for everyone.
Yeah. And as our sense of purpose changes, some relationships might get deeper while others kind of fade away.
It's not about good or bad, just what aligns with where you are now.
So it's not just physical sensations. It's like a whole person transformation.
Mind, body, spirit, all of it.
This deep dive has been amazing. I'm looking at all those weird things we experience in a totally different way now.
I'm glad to hear that. It's about that shift in perspective.
Yeah, instead of seeing them as problems, they become opportunities.
Exactly. And remember, you're not alone on this journey.
So many people are going through the same thing.
Waking up to their true selves.
To everyone listening, embrace your journey. Be curious. Be open.
Pay attention. Trust yourself. You got this.
This has been an incredible conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us.
My pleasure. Always great to dive into these topics.
And to our listener, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the physical signs of spiritual awakening.
We hope you learned something you can take with you.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep shining your light.